UFC 310 is this week, and today I'm here to give you my full card predictions, starting with Kennedy Nzechukwu versus Lucas Bursky, ending with the main event, Pantoja versus Asakura. And later this week, I'll be releasing a video on how I would have changed his bout order to make it just like a better card in general, a more enjoyable watch experience. But without further ado, first fight of the night, Kennedy Nzechukwu versus Lucas Brzezinski. I have Nzechukwu versus via round 2 knockout. Kenny Nzechukwu, coming up from light heavyweight, he dismantled Chris Barnett, although it's a short fight against a 5'8" heavyweight. He's still very quick for the division. He's a lot faster than anybody else you'll see at heavyweight. And Lucas Bursky, I know he's not your typical fat heavyweight. He looks in better shape and everything. But Nzechukwu 2 inches taller. He's got 5 inches in reach. And he's got the lighter man's skill. I just don't see this being that competitive. Kenny Nzechukwu, he could probably be a fringe top 5 heavyweight. He could beat a Marcin Tybura. He could beat these guys in the rankings. He could beat maybe even a Sergey Spivak. And yeah, he could be a mainstay in the top 10 of the heavyweight division, potentially top 5. And I think he beats Lucas Bursky. Moving on, Clay Guida versus Chase Hooper. I feel like this is going to be a pretty easy fight for Chase Hooper. I got him winning via round 2 submission. Clay Guida doesn't get knocked out. Clay Guida is kind of still fast and twitchy for how old he is, but Chase Hooper is just a taller guy. He's got a 4-inch reach advantage, and he's really good on the ground at grappling. Like, he's improved in that realm so much. I mean, he was always good at it, but he's just gotten even better is what I'm trying to say. But yeah, these odds are very correct. I think Chase Hooper's going to dismantle Clay Guida. I feel like Chase Hooper could have gotten a better opponent for this, but it only builds his star power. I mean, not that he's a star, but it builds him up a little bit, getting an easy win over Clay Guida. That's what I'm trying to say. Moving on, Michael Chiesa versus Max Griffin. The fight nobody asked for and nobody cares about. Michael Chiesa is going to win by decision because that just seems to happen to Max Griffin. Max Griffin does not have that finishing ability in him. If there's going to be a finish in this fight, I feel like it's more likely to come from Michael Chiesa, who is riding the momentum of submitting Old Man Ferguson. But Chiesa's never going to be in the top 15 again, but he'll give these unranked not heavyweights, welterweights, a good test, and I feel like Max Griffin just doesn't have that instinct to get the finish. He's going to point fight at range. Chiesa's a little more willing to get scrappy and just impose his will. Step forward, land the strikes you need to win the round. Max Griffin's going to point fight, throw 10 strikes around, and then complain that it was a robbery. Moving on, Cody Durden versus Joshua Van. It's a scary fight because Joshua Van's taken all these fights like one after another. He got knocked out, then he gets knocked down but wins his last fight. Now he's fighting again against Cody Durden, but I feel like he's going to beat Cody Durden. I feel like he'll find the chin of Cody Durden. And yeah, Joshua Van's really good. He's just tiny. Like, if there was an even lighter weight class, he'd be fighting. He's 5'5". That's really short, really small. He's got a 65-inch reach. And yeah, but I feel like he's gonna win. I feel like he'll get Cody Durden. He'll get into the top 15, but with just the pure size, he's really good. But he's just the pure size of him. I don't think he'll go much further than a Cody Durden at this point. But yeah, that's that fight. Moving on, Chris Weidman versus Eric Anders. I originally picked Chris Weidman, and I'm gonna stick with Chris Weidman. He only has more motivation to go win after Eric Anders pulled out and ruined his chance at being on the main card of a pay-per-view at MSG. He went from a main card of a pay-per-view to the early prelim headliner, which just goes to show how weak that last card was. Even though there was some good fights on it, but it just wasn't that strong of a card overall. And this is catchweight. Was it 195, I'm guessing? But yeah, Chris Weidman's going to win. And he's going to win by decision because he did good. Like, even before his eye poke TKO, he looked all right. And Eric Anders just isn't that good. I don't care about the age, the style right now. Although it kind of does matter. But Chris Weidman, he's kind of riding the momentum a little bit of that Bruno Silva fight where he got the win. And if you just look at Eric Anders, he's not that good. He's losing. He beats Jamie Pickett. He loses to Marc-Andre Barriault. He beats Kyle Dawkins. He loses to Jung Young Park and Andre Muniz. He beats Darren Stewart. Loses to Christoph Jocko. beats GM3. Like, he doesn't beat anybody. He hasn't beat anybody great. He hasn't really fought anybody great. He beat Brendan Allen back in LFA in 2017. That's his best win. It's the highlight of his career up to this point. And yeah, other than taking Lyoto Machida to a split decision all the way back in 2018, hasn't done much. And yeah, I just feel like um, Eric Anders will lose because he's 37 too, man. Like, how old's Weidman? Weidman's 40. Eric Anders is 37. They're both unks, but I feel like Chris Weidman's the better unk. Moving on to the prelims: Randy Brown versus Brian Battle. This is a good fight. I like this fight. Randy Brown versus Brian Battle. I got Brian Battle. I feel like he'll be able to find the chin of Randy Brown late round 2. Now, they both like to kick at range. Randy Brown more so, but they're both good at boxing. They both use their legs to kick at range, but I feel like Brian Battle just has more of that killer instinct. Like, Brian Battle will get in there and he will try to knock out Randy Brown. Randy Brown's okay with point fighting. Brian Battle is not okay with that. He goes for the finish, which I think he'll find in round 2. It'll be a knockout. It'll be a good performance from Brian Battle, but again, I don't think this is the right placement on the card for this. I really don't with how the rest of the fights look. But yeah, moving on. Movsar Evloev versus Aljamain Sterling. The number one contender fight, pretty much at featherweight, is below 2 other featherweight fights. One being Kron Gracie. So yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, this just doesn't make much sense to why this is here, but I got Movsar Evloev. He's got underrated stand-up, underrated boxing, and he's just bigger than Aljo. If it goes to the ground, I don't think it's going to be dominant one way or another, but Movsar just has the size to control Aljo. He's been at featherweight longer. Aljo, this will be his second fight at featherweight, but I don't think he's fully acclimated to the weight class yet, especially because he fought Calvin Kattar coming off injury. He hasn't fought a real featherweight grappler. And I feel like Movsar Evloev's going to be able to use his size to his advantage and get the win. Moving by decision. It's going to be a 29-20 or 30-27 boring decision. Moving on. Vicente Luque versus Themba Gorimbo. Luque, man, what happened? I got Themba Gorimbo. If it was Nick Diaz, I was going to pick Vicente Luque, but it is not Nick Diaz, so I feel like Themba Gorimbo is the only correct choice here. It's sad to see Luque's, like, the way Luque's career played out up to this point. He got that brain injury against Jeff Neal that put him out for a while. Comes back, beats RDA, but then he just doesn't look great against Joaquin Buckley. He actually looks terrible against Joaquin Buckley. Not just not great, he looks awful. And he's fighting a guy in Themba Gorimbo who's the same age as him. They're both 33. Like their career, they're both kind of young for the welterweight division. Not young, but they still have ability in the welterweight division, but I just don't think Vicente Luque has it anymore after that injury. And we're going to see a vintage Themba Gorimbo clinch fest. I feel like it's going to be hard for him to take down Vicente Luque. I will say that. But, yeah, unless he lands a Pete Rodriguez punch like he did against Pete Rodriguez, I don't see this being a finish. And, yeah, I mean, maybe. I can maybe see like he rocks Luque and gets some of the ground and finishes him a ground and pound because it seems like his chin and will to win is gone, Luque. Yeah, round 3 TKO for Themba Gorimbo. I don't think it's going to be a very exciting fight, but in round 3, Luque is going to be tired and he's going to quit when he gets hit with a Themba Gorimbo. Maybe just a straight right that just kind of rocks him. I feel like that's how it'll go. Themba Gorimbo, round 3 TKO on the ground. It's not going to be brutal or anything, but it's going to happen. Moving on, Dominic Reyes versus Anthony Smith. Anthony on paper Smith is going to lose to Dominic Reyes. Dominic Reyes is going to knock out Anthony Smith in round 2. If you don't knock out Dominic Reyes, you're not going to win, and Anthony Smith isn't dangerous anymore. All the danger in this fight is coming from the side of Dominic Reyes. Anthony Smith just does not have it anymore. He looked. I know Khalil Roundtree's good, but he just didn't even look. He didn't look relatively competitive in that fight. And he lost to Roman Dolidze last. I forgot about that. And he guillotined Vitor Petrino. But unless Dominic Reyes sticks his head in a guillotine, I don't see this fight ending in a submission. But you're beating Ryan Spann by split decision. It was controversial. Johnny Walker and Magomed Ankalaev handled him pretty easily. Yeah, Jimmy Crute, he got a fluke win against Jimmy Crute because he hit the perennial nerve. Like, this guy is just not good. I don't know. He's not that good. He's never really been that great. And I don't see him having much of a chance against Dominic Reyes. I'd put a lot of money on Dominic Reyes, who's going to have some momentum after that Dustin Jacoby win. And, yeah, he's never lost by decision because he beat John Jones by decision because, yeah. Moving on to the main card, Nate Landwehr versus Doo Ho Choi. Again, above Aljo versus Evloev. This is on the main card, and this is not. Oops. Oh, where are we? There we go. But yeah, all jokes aside, this is gonna be a good fight. Landwehr versus Doo Ho Choi. It's gonna be. I feel like it's gonna be a knockout in round 2, and I think Nate Landwehr's gonna get it solely because Doo Ho Choi's just not been active. Doo Ho Choi, he's got one win since 2019. One win since 2019. Now, he looked pretty good in his last fight against Bill Algeo, I will say. But Bill Algeo isn't that great. He's not terrible, but he's not great. And I feel like Nate Landwehr, he's just poised for that. He's getting ready. He ate shots off of Dan Ige. Right? You're eating shots off of fucking Dan Ige. Like, you got a chin. And his last 4 wins have all been performance bonuses. I think he gets another one here. And I think this will be fight of the night. This is my prediction. Landwehr, Doo Ho Choi, fight of the night. But sorry for my boy Doo Ho Choi. He's gonna lose because he's got one win since 2016. Oh my god. Yeah, he beat Bill Algeo, but outside of that, dude, he has one win since 2016 against Thiago Tavares. He's never beat anybody significant in his career. Anytime he's gotten a good opponent, he's lost. He lost to Cub Swanson in 2016, and then he took 2 years off. Nah, just over a year. Lost to Jeremy Stevens, and he takes another almost 2 years off and loses to Charles Jourdain. Then he takes 3 years off, has a draw with Kyle Nelson, takes another whole year off, and beats Bill Algeo. But yeah, I don't know. These odds are too close. Nate Landwehr's gonna win. Nate Landwehr's gonna win. Doo Ho Choi not active enough. Maybe if he starts getting active, maybe if this was his 4th fight from his hiatus back, I'd pick him. But I just don't think he's acclimated back to the fighting world. Moving on. Bryce Mitchell versus Kron Gracie. Bryce Mitchell's going to 30-26 or 30-25 this dude. I don't even really want to talk about it. This fight is so stupid. Bryce Mitchell's going to take down Kron Gracie, sit in the guard. Kron Gracie's not going to be able to find a submission because Bryce Mitchell's capable on the ground. Yeah, I don't know, why is he getting a ranked opponent? This is fucking stupid. But yeah, Bryce Mitchell's going to dominate Kron Gracie and won't be close. Moving on. Ciryl Gane versus Alexander Volkov. This is a good fight. If this was UFC 308, I would have picked Volkov, but Volkov got out with a knee injury, and I think Ciryl Gane's going to be able to take advantage of that because he's a actual smart, fast, hard-hitting heavyweight. And I feel like he's going to be able to use oblique kicks, right? Yeah, oblique kicks to the knee of Volkov because it's just a weakness now. And I feel like Volkov's going to be really, really cautious of that unless he yeah, but even so, even if it's not his lead leg that's hurt, his back leg, he's just not going to be throwing kicks. He does have the reach advantage, I believe. If we can take a look here. No, he's actually the reach disadvantage at 6'7". Interesting. Yeah, Ciryl Gane, it's going to be a decision. Ciryl Gane's just going to be able to go bop and weave in and out of range. Like, step in, 1-2 before Volkov can get a counter shot off, step back out. It's going to be that kind of fight all night. It's going to be mildly competitive, but it's going to be, like, competitive, but you know who's winning the round. It's going to be a 30-27 for Ciryl Gane. A competitive 30-27, though, I will say. It's going to be one of those, like, you could reason around for Volkov, but you know it's a 30-27 for Ciryl Gane. Moving on. Shavkat Rakhmonov versus Ian Machado Garry. I got Shavkat Rakhmonov by 4th round submission. Now, I will say, Shavkat, if this goes the distance, I don't think he's gonna win. If this, like, I feel like Ian Garry's gonna be up 2-1 going into round 4, and he'll be winning round 4 up until Shavkat either lands a takedown, maybe catches Ian Garry with a shot he wasn't expecting on the chin. And either way, it's Ian Garry's going to be on the canvas, and Shavkat's going to lock up a submission. And yeah, Ian Garry, he has a very underrated chance to win this fight. The plus 300 odds do not do him justice. But yeah, because if we come down here, Shavkat actually has the reach. Huh. I didn't think he did. But anyway, I feel like Ian Garry, he'll be able to use the kicks very well against Shavkat. Shavkat's not great against the kicks. He's got better ground game. He's a good striker, and he's got better ground game than Wonderboy. So it'll be an interesting fight for Shavkat. He won't have any. This will be Shavkat's toughest fight by far. No, like he's going to war with Jeff Neal. Ian Garry beats Jeff Neal by boring decision, but they've common opponents. Shavkat's finished them. Ian Machado Garry has dominated them to a decision. So Shavkat's just a harder hitter. Moving on. Alexandre Pantoja versus Kai Asakura. Pantoja's going to win by round 3 submission. I will say Asakura has an underrated chance to win this fight because Alexandre Pantoja leaves his shin in the air. That's how he fights. He fights by being able to absorb the damage coming to him, walking through it, and damaging you even more. So I don't know if that style is going to work great for this fight. I feel like it's a very dangerous way to approach a fight against a guy like Kai Asakura, who is just a walking knockout highlight reel. But anyway, I just don't think he's got the skills in the ground. And I don't think Kai Asakura has fought the best opponents. Pantoja is just so much more well-rounded and skilled than Asakura that I feel like once this goes to the ground, it won't be fair, it won't be close, it won't be competitive. Pantoja and still. But yeah, that's going to do it for me, guys. That's my UFC 310 full card predictions. I will be releasing a video later today or tomorrow about how I would have organized this bout order and done it better. But yeah, that's all for me, guys, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.